having a ball. 14,000 people they got at the game at a ground where they can hold 55,000 apparently. So they get big crowds in. So we're going to hear from him later. Big week of sport. Lucy, big weekend of sport,
Huge.
actually. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the AFL Women League. One round to go. And Brisbane Lions are going to be in the grand final. They're going to host the grand final. Most likely the Gabba's going to firm as the location. It's going to be great to see out of Adelaide and Melbourne who's going to make the secondary spot. And even Collingwood, who's won the last 3 in a row, they could potentially make a run for it.
Potentially, but I think it'll be hard. But apart from that, we get also the last round of the AFL JLT. So 1 week off, and then it's into round
Straight
one.
into it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It always rolls around very quickly this time of the year. And obviously, all the teams playing pretty much full sides. So it was good to see, Gary Ablett back, Dangerfield, some of the big players getting big disposals, and Nat Fyfe as well doing very well. We're also going to talk cricket.
Of course.
Big selections.
Big sort of leave-outs or injury concerns for Australia. So they've brought in two big names, some sort of interesting choices. Some say undeserved choices, but we will be discussing that. And then we also have some A-League results, a big win for Melbourne Victory.
Oh, yes.
And then also some netball to wrap up the show
Super netball
later.
So it's a big show today.
It's a big show today. But for now, we're going to go to a song, and this is Morat with Inside Voices. Welcome back to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. You're with Lucy and Michael, and we're going to go straight into the AFLW. The penultimate round has brought us a lot.
Oh, it certainly has.
And I think the biggest thing it's brought us is one team has booked their ticket to the inaugural grand final.
It's huge. It's huge. With 6 wins, no losses, and a whopping great percentage of 168.5, they sit firmly on the top. Brisbane have been, I wouldn't say the underdogs, but certainly a lot of people didn't expect them to be this good this season. And I think maybe because it might be a carryover from the men's league, thinking, it's Brisbane, so, not as talented, but, huge players have stepped up, and wow.
Yeah, huge players have stepped up, and as he said, I think of all of the interstate teams, they've done the best, which is probably surprising considering Fremantle was the team that was tipped to be the best.
Jeez.
But Brisbane Lions have finished on top with huge players coming through. They're going to have 2 players who win Goal of the Year as well, Caitlin Ashmore and Kate McCarthy.
They've been brilliant.
Taylor Harris.
The Packagette.
Exactly. For Sabrina Frederick-Traub. She's amazing.
She's been amazing.
Emily Bates has been amazing. They've just had so many great players. So I think a place in the grand final is well deserved. But now they have the biggest challenge, I think, of the season of deciding where they're going to have it.
That's very true. I mean, you would... The big option is obviously the Gabba. That's a very big temptation. Yeah. They have played a lot of local grounds, and they have all worked very well. But you could expect a decent-sized crowd for this one. But being interstate, of course, that is going to be the biggest dilemma.
Yeah, I think so too. We spoke a little bit about it on Friday, but we sort of said the Gabba, I think, would be, I think, the best option. I think sort of just hold the game's integrity. Make it its own thing. Let the girls have their own game. At the Gabba. But, it's still, the second spot is still a little bit up for grabs. It's still a little bit out in the open. Unfortunately, I think Carlton blew their chance on Friday, losing to Fremantle. But, what a game by Cara Donnellan.
Donnellan was just absolutely outstanding. Two goals, and not only that, she was just all over the ground, just inspirational with 24 disposals, 8 tackles as well, which is phenomenal. And I could not praise highly enough doing big tackles in big games. And that crucial final goal, you just, after she kicked that goal, you just felt like it was all over for Carlton. And she was just unbelievable. What an inspirational skipper. She's been look, it's been a hard task for her this season. Freya haven't played the best footy, but she has been very consistent. But particularly in this game, she without her, I don't think Freya would have won. She really lifted the team.
Yeah, I don't think they would have won without her either, because she had 8 tackles, but on top of 8, that defensive pressure, she kicked 3 goals.
and
so she was literally everywhere on the field and played an amazing game, and not even more Darcy Vesio magic could save Carlton.
That's right.
She kicked 3-1.
3-1.
So she could have had 4 goals herself, but unfortunately I don't really think anyone in Carlton really stepped up aside from her. Pains me to say it, but I think that was a bit of the case. But it was a case of Freo having nothing to lose, and Carlton had that added pressure of if they won this, they were very much a chance for the grand final. So we need results to go our way. But Melbourne
Melbourne
is another team that after losing the first week they're a real chance.
They are a very real chance.
Considering they beat Adelaide in Darwin on Saturday night.
Exactly, and no one really expected that to go the way, particularly in Darwin as well, which is a completely different climate to where both teams have played prior. You'd say maybe Adelaide's a little bit warmer than playing down in Melbourne, but to Melbourne's credit, they have a very big crack at winning, at getting that final spot.
And I don't know why anyone's people sound surprised that they're still in it, but they haven't Karen Paxman, Daisy Pearce, Elise O'Day, Lily Mithen, who's proved herself to be probably the best young player in the game, at the moment. And they had so many other girls, obviously Jasmine Grierson as well, another Rising Star nomination. So they've got such a strong team from the top all the way through to the bottom of their list. So I think if any team was going to really bring it to Brisbane, it could be Melbourne. And their first game was against Melbourne that they lost, but it was that one awful game where they had to go off for the Lightning in the third quarter.
That's right.
So it's probably a rematch that Melbourne would be thirsty for, because I reckon they think they could probably overrun them.
And I think they've gained momentum throughout this competition, and now I think they'd be very confident. And Daisy Pearce is playing a lot better now as well. The first round she wasn't too good. Second round she started to get her composure back, and now she's absolutely elite. So
now she's definitely probably the best player in the competition.
But we should recap that game. Adelaide did lose to Melbourne. It was a very close game. Only 2 points.
Yeah, only 2 points.
After Melbourne were kept scoreless in the first quarter, which is pretty unbelievable to think.
Adelaide scored 3 goals, wasn't it?
2 goals, one, and then they only scored 1 in the second quarter, where Melbourne did crawl their way back and kick 2 goals, 1 as well. Pretty low scoring game, only 5 goals kicked each way during the game. But this was a huge second half for the Demons. You had, and towards the end, you thought Melbourne were pretty comfortable, but Kelly Gibson and Sarah Perkins came back towards in the final minutes with. Big crowd as well. Over 5,000 in TIO, which is amazing. And some of the photos coming out of the game, the sky was red.
Oh yeah, the sky looked.
So the sky was barracking for the Demons. I think.
I think so. Yeah. Also, the fact there was a massive thunderstorm coming as well, which was a bit scary.
Oh yeah.
But I think Melbourne, to their credit, did a very very good job to sort of claw their way back.
They were unbelievable.
And to sort of keep players like Erin Phillips, Chelsea Randall, who had an amazing game the week beforehand against Brisbane, to keep some of them quiet. They did a very good job. Tex Perkins didn't, Sarah Tex Perkins didn't really touch the ball until the last quarter scored the goal that got them back in it, but there just wasn't enough time for them to win it back.
That's right. They left their run a little bit too late. But Erin Phillips, a little bit of an injury cloud concern?
I think so, yeah. She rolled her ankle or something along those lines.
Yeah. So she should be okay. She's a tough girl, but it's going to be interesting to see whether she do
it after she took that massive hanger off Melissa Hickey.
that was an amazing hanger, and the hang time she got was pretty sensational.
Huge,
she just sat there and went, all right.
Yeah, because she went too early.
She did,
but somehow managed to just stay there.
Yeah, she managed to get it as she was falling down. Usually they get it at the peak, but no, she managed to take a beautiful mark.
But the best thing was Melissa Hickey's. The look on her face, as if she was smiling.
Yeah, she was a little bit of a chuckle there. She was like, "Yeah, I know you've taken a decent mark."
That's pretty good. And then Chelsea Randall, not to be undone, she then went up for a huge one. Unfortunately, dropped it, which I think Erin Phillips is kind of like, "Whew, I keep marking the air."
I'm on the showreel. Come on.
I'm on it. But also, aside from massive hangers, massive bumps as well in that game.
Really physical. Really physical. And that's been one thing I think that's been impressive throughout this whole inaugural season, has just been the physicality of some of the games.
Yeah.
The game I went to go see, the Demons in Collingwood, I could not believe some of the crunching tackles.
Yeah.
There was a huge bump in that game as well.
Oh, that was
very early on.
Meg Downey.
Yeah, and I think I think they had to get the stretcher out. So, for anyone out there who thinks, that the game isn't as tough as the men's, to put the record straight, it is, and if not tougher.
It's
very courageous.
It's very high, contested ball playing and everything like that. So the girls are I think that is something that's really sort of surprised everyone. And I think the tone was set for it when in that opening game, Carlton Collingwood, the first sort of thing that happened in the game was Sarah Hoskin came in, just laid a massive bump.
It was huge.
And you just heard everyone in the crowd go,
"Ooh, okay."
Yeah, like they're like, "Oh, this is what we're getting." So that was good.
Yeah.
But speaking of Collingwood, they played their first home game yesterday.
They did.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
I know. Yeah. Because they had their game against Melbourne moved to Icon Park. That became a doubleheader with the Carlton GWS game. So I was at the Holden Centre yesterday watching.
Holden Centre, yeah.
And all I could think was, imagine if they had that first game here. Like, it would have been pandemonium.
And it could well have been a different result as well. You just never know.
Yeah. But Collingwood did come out on top with now the highest score of the AFLW.
Congratulations.
Exactly. They have outdone Carlton, who got 54 last week against Western Bulldogs, and Collingwood finished with 55 yesterday. And they could have had...
They could have had...
Yeah.
A lot more. I could have said an extra 6 goals. They scored 13 behind, so very inaccurate. And even our very good lady Mona Hope, she had a much better game. She kicked 2 goals 4. However, couple more opportunities there. She could have easily had 6.
Yeah, it would have been so good if at Collingwood's first last home game as well, she stood up and kicked 6 goals. I think people would have just not so much silenced the critics, but she definitely looked a lot better. I think Collingwood have looked a lot better when they've looked for other avenues to goal.
That's right.
And I think Moana Hope has looked a lot better when she's not that only avenue to goal.
That's right.
Like, you see her up the ground now, trying to she's feeding the ball in as well.
She's a great contestant mark. So, when she leads up the ground, she certainly does look very dangerous going forward. And as well, I mean, probably the home ground advantage might have suited her a little bit more. She does most of her training, most of her goal kicking there. So probably would have helped a little bit more. But it's good that she's able to find a bit of form. Look, she's been carrying several injuries, knee injury. So there's been a couple of niggles here and there. So she probably hasn't been at her very, very best because of that little injury. But, hopefully next season she'll be a lot more consistent.
Yeah, I think so too. But we're going to finish off our AFLW talk with our votes.
Oh, yes.
And Daisy Pearce didn't feature last week.
She didn't?
So some players sort of have snuck up on her. But I don't know if that's going to continue this week and next week, because I feel like Melbourne are going to have their last game finish off very strong, because I feel like they are going to do everything they can to get that grand final spot.
Oh yeah, and I think particularly Daisy Pearce, being the influential player, the captain that she is, she will rise for the last game. 26 disposals this week. Played a really, really great game and just looked very powerful around the ground. So I gave 1 vote to her this week. So I thought I got to mention her in my votes. She played very, very well. Was influential as always. I'm almost tempted to give her a vote every week because she just looks so professional in the way she goes about it. But sometimes you got to give other players a go. And so 20 disposals, 1 goal. No, she was brilliant. How about you? Your 1 vote?
My 1 vote went to Daisy Pearce as well. Because I think the same as you. She's very influential, so professional on the field, plays so well. And even got a goal this week, which I think most people would be surprised to hear that Daisy Pearce kicked her first goal.
It was her first goal, which
of the
is
season.
Just unbelievable.
Which I suppose she's probably assisted, probably 70% of their goals. So for her to get her own was pretty good. And we've even got Liam's votes as well.
Yes,
somehow
we do.
From Ireland, he's given us his votes.
He's done it exceptionally. And he got his in first as well, which is even more
he's
impressive.
He's them first to us, but his 1 vote went to Emma Carney, who became the first player in AFLW to get 30 disposals.
Which I think is a very, very notable effort from her. 2 votes went to her from me. I thought 30 votes... I wish I could give her 30 votes. No, 30 disposals is just prolific. And she was very big. Even though the Bulldogs didn't win that game, they got very close to beating the flag favourites, Brisbane. So to be able to get that many disposals, quality disposals, in a very gritty performance against such a quality side, a lot of credit's got to go to her.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Emma Carney, who also got 2 votes from me. Just for that reason, 30 disposals. I don't think anyone else is going to do it in the last game of the season.
Oh, no.
And if anyone was going to do it, it's either her or Daisy Pearce.
Pearce.
She's been amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if she became 2nd or 3rd maybe in the inaugural sort of Brownlow or whatever it is they call it for
the Sinlow.
But then Liam has given his 2 to Mo Hope. Which is good. I think he liked that she's gotten 14 disposals, 2 goals 4, turned it up a little bit, and I think
looked a lot
with
better.
his 3 votes, as a Freo supporter, we can't tell him that he's being biased.
No.
Because I think this girl got 3 votes from the 3 of us.
From the 3 of us.
And that is Cara Donnellan,
Yep.
the captain of Fremantle.
She was sensational.
She was just, as we said before, she was ever on the ground, 8 tackles, 3 goals, got Freo their first win over in Fremantle. So must have been disappointing for her to see them only get their first win.
Only their first win. One draw as well, which is notable. But, they've been pretty poor this season, but I think, with a new draft next season and probably a little bit more confidence instilled from that win, it'd be good to see him play a good last game. And fingers crossed they can keep playing well. But, she's an inspirational leader at Freo, and congratulations to her. 9 votes all up from this round.
Exactly.
Good.
That's pretty good.
Very good.
She does get called Juddy, so I think she lived up to that name this week.
She certainly did.
But, we'll definitely be talking more AFLW on Friday's show on the Sports Desk. We'll probably preview the last round. And I'll try not to cry about it because I'm going to be really sad that it's the last round.
I know.
But
it went quickly.
Oh, it's gone so quick. But we're going to go to a song now, and this is Do It Right, featuring TK Meidzer by Martin Solveig. And you're listening to SYN 90.7 FM. Welcome back to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. You are with Lucy and Michael, and that was Martin Solveig with Do It Right featuring TK Meidzer. We've just discussed the AFL Women's, so now we're going to move on for some more AFL, which will be the AFL...
A lot of AFL this weekend.
Oh, so much AFL. The AFL JLT Series, Community Series, which just had its last round. Lots of teams bringing in sort of their full-strength teams, considering we're only... 10 days away
10
from?
days, not long away, and it's came up very, very quickly, and we got a really great glimpse, I think, this week of what a lot of clubs are trying to do, particularly for their strategies. I think probably the first 2 warm-up games are probably just to get your players on the park, get them warmed up, see what young talent you've got in the sheds, but I think there was a lot more strategies around this round, a lot of high scores, and a lot of probably, a lot of the notable players getting big disposals, so it was a big round of footy, and it started off Gold Coast Suns versus the Doggies, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people thinking Gold Coast are going to finish pretty, low on the ladder this year. I would probably change that that outlook, because I think they're looking decent. They've got a lot of good players returning, David Swallow, and they've got a couple of good young players there, Will Setterfield and Ben Ainsworth, so they've got a lot of young talent there, so they're going to look good this season, and they almost upset the Doggies.
Yeah.
In fact, they were leading for most of the game. And the Doggies crawled their way back with one man, Matty Suckling. We know can be inaccurate with his kicking, but I think he kicked 3 super goals.
3 super goals?
He was unbelievable.
Gold Coast Suns 0 super goals.
0 super goals. So he kicked 3 out of the Doggies 4. He was just, he's got such a, penetrable kick. I mean, so many times he can screw it up, because it is a very... he screws it around the body, so it is quite a unusual kicking style. But he can kick it from a very, very long way out, so he's certainly showing his prowess. So the doggies were great, and Jake Stringer as well, a player who can be pretty inconsistent. 26 disposals, 3 goals, so he's certainly back to his best form, and so he will certainly hopefully have a more consistent season for the Doggies this year.
Yeah, and West Coast beat Melbourne over in West Coast.
In the West.
And I think a lot of people saw that very touching moment between Sam Mitchell and...
Jordan Lewis.
Yes, sharing a little bit of a hug before the game went underway. That was a bit nice.
That was nice.
But probably wasn't nice after the game when West Coast won 95-70.
And
Sam Mitchell with 39 disposals.
As per usual, and
Jeez.
28 handballs, if you don't mind.
Whoa.
Not the worst. He does like a good handball, and... this is something to worth mentioning. He got 10 more disposals than Jordan Lewis, so I think he would have been like, "Hey, Geordie, got 10 more than you, mate."
Thanks for the hug.
You might want to... The hug certainly fired me up. And Andrew Gaff and Chris Marston, 35 disposals each, so they're big ball winners, getting plenty of the footy. And Josh Kennedy got rid of the stutter, 5 goals, looking very, very good as well.
Nice.
So... good win by the West Coast Eagles. GWS bet North Melbourne in Manuka Oval in Canberra. Big crowd there, actually. Decent amount of people got down, and GWS probably starting to flex the muscles a little bit more, getting ready for their big premiership season.
How many people have said that GWS are going to win the flag this year?
Liam's already thrown it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they've definitely got the ability to win, but I just have a feeling that something's going to happen prior to it, or someone's going to upset them. I don't know. I just got a feeling they can get very cocky. GWS got a lot of young men there who can get a little bit ahead of themselves.
Yeah, that's how it seems a bit. Yeah, but a win over North Melbourne probably helps the confidence.
North Melbourne were almost undefeated going into this game. They 2 wins in the JLT series. They're looking very good. Not a lot of people expect North Melbourne to do much this season, but I think they've shown enough in this JLT series for them to be, well, at least thereabouts near the 8. So they'll be okay this season. But Heath Shaw, 33 disposals. Toby Green, 5 goals. And Jared Wade also 5 goals as well. So, but the big news coming out of this game was Steve Johnson looked a little bit gingery, but they're expected him to be okay for round 1. And Aiden Core isn't looking the greatest with his hand, and Steve Caniglio with the ankle as well might miss the first game, which is big news.
There's been a lot of sort of talk about players that'll miss the first round. Big one, was it Pendlebury, maybe?
Yeah, Pendlebury.
With his Achilles?
Yeah. He's had problems with that in the past, so there's a lot of talk around that. A lot of talk around my man, Cale Hooker. He hasn't played any matches so far in the preseason. He will be lining up this weekend in the VFL, which is good.
That is good, yeah.
And, of course, he snapped a miraculous goal a couple of seasons ago. I still haven't forgot I was there. So he'll be influential, obviously, against the Hawks in round 1. So it'd be good to see him line up. Fremantle got over Carlton.
Yep.
So not a lot of Blues this weekend, unfortunately.
A lot of Blues for the Blues. But I think
Blues for the Blues.
The Blues are only going to continue for the Blues.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, I think with the sort of when... I've completely forgotten his name now. Who coached Collingwood?
Oh,
the famous...
Michael Malthouse, yes.
Michael Malthouse. I think when he was introduced to Carlton... bit for the wrong reasons.
Went downhill, I think.
So I think it's going to be a long fight back for Carlton.
It will be.
Which it was already a long fight back from there. So they've got a lot of young guns and a lot of players such as Patrick Cripps, who will be like stars in the future, I think.
Yep.
But I think, the way that they've played the last few weeks certainly shows that I think Carlton fans are going to have to wait quite a while before they're a full strength side again. Before they get a bit of consistency back in their game. But they went over to Subiaco and Nat Fyfe, the returning skipper, 38 disposals if you don't mind, and Lockie Neal 37. So they're not stealing the ball off each other, those two. They'll certainly work in cohesion this season, and they'll be brilliant. And Cam McCarthy has not played a senior game in the AFL for over a season, and he was brilliant with his 6 goals as well. Yeah.
3 of those goals are from the goal square, but even still, you got to know how to kick them.
Exactly.
So very good game from him, and if for those of you guys who do Supercoach or fantasy footy, he's very, very cheap, less than 300,000. So get him in. Richmond lost to Collingwood in Moe, but Richmond were down by about 30 points going into the halftime break, so they did pretty well to claw that one back. Dusty Martins looks pretty good, 3 goals, and Treloar as well, 29 disposals. So he's going to have another standout season this season as well for the Pies.
I'm surprised that Dusty did so well. Dusty did well, but I feel like he may have been fired up a little bit after last week. Yeah. Walking out of press conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Just generally writing really strange things on Twitter or Instagram, it was.
In a weird
about
space,
fake news.
Yeah.
His dad's still been deported over to New Zealand.
Yeah.
He's been on a current affair. He's been busy in the off-season. So
he certainly has.
Hopefully he can back it up with some good stuff on field.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. He's had his troubles, but let's hope he can get back to his best footy, because he's a sensational player when he gets going.
As we've seen, it's don't argue off the field.
No.
And don't argue on the field now.
No, that's right. He's just got to play a straight bat and just get his mind right. Adelaide defeated Brisbane on the weekend. They kicked a huge score, 20 goals, 113, 142, and a super goal if you don't mind. But Brizzy showing that they can still score very highly as well. Kicked 103. Laird and Atkins, 30 disposals each. So it shows that they've got good run-off half-back.
Yeah.
And also McGovern and Jenkins, 4 goals each. So 8 goals between them. And plus Tex Walker and Eddie Betts kicking 3 goals each as well. So that forward line's going to be prolific again. So I think any club will be very nervous preparing their back line for any game against Adelaide this season because they're going to be right up there.
Adelaide, do you think they'll finish in the top 4?
I think they've if everything goes right, they definitely will. But my biggest concern is still their midfield. I still think they rely too much on Rory Sloane. If the Crouch brothers can do well this season, like really get consistently on the park, I think they'll have a much better season. But yeah, that's their biggest question. I think their forward line best in the AFL by a mile. Back line's getting a lot better, but the midfield's going to be the biggest question.
Interesting.
But great,
and especially
great
with Rory Sloane being injured as well.
That's right.
He could be a bit tentative in the first
He is back on the park, but he
Yeah.
didn't play this weekend, so it's going to be interesting to see whether he's going to be all that fit for round 1. He might still play, but whether he's going to be 100% or not, that's going to be another question.
It's another question.
They're going to be good this season. Port Adelaide defeated Hawthorn. They've had Wood over Hawthorn in the past. Played very, very well, and one man who played exceptionally well was Brett Eddy. Probably never heard of him. He's been overlooked in many drafts, but he kicked 5 sausage rolls, if you don't mind. Played very, very well indeed. So good on him. Get him in your super coach. Only 104,000. So get him in. He's going to be a good player this season.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hawthorn, though, Luke Hodge.
Yes.
Random.
Banned for round 1. Not too sure what the story is behind this. He did play VFL on the weekend.
Yeah.
Did play in the warm-up matches. But yeah,
It's
this
really
is
strange because they've sort of come out and said he just didn't know that training was on. Which I think, if you surely...
And there was a mix-up. Yep, there was a big mix-up in communication, big breakdown in communication. So I don't know what the big story is behind this, but he's a big out. And for all those Essendon fans out there, including myself, we are absolutely jumping with joy. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves because they still got Jaeger O'Meara, but we're very, very happy.
At least you won't have the sniper. Luke Hodge out the back.
That's right.
Who might smack someone behind the play, as he does do.
As he usually does. So Sam Mitchell... Obviously, Jordan Lewis and also Luke Hodge out for round 1. So 3 of their big midfielders out for round 1. It's going to be a very different look, Hawthorn side. Yeah. Really different look inside. Which
is probably very, very nice for an Essendon supporter when all of the players are coming back.
For the first time, I feel like this might be our day.
Round 1 might be nice. It's probably a very different feeling to last year.
It is. And talking about the Bombers, yes, absolutely. And talking about the Bombers, they played very, very well yesterday. Didn't get over the line against the Cats. It was a 10-goal turnaround from the Cats. They woke up in the second half. Yeah. But Essendon had a 40-point lead going into half-time down in Bendigo, and I thought, we might win here. But I thought it was a very good show from the boys. 4 goals to... Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody, my spirit animal, absolutely love him, and Tom Hawkins kicked 4 as well. But it was Dangerwood, it was Dangerfield and Selwood who just lit the game on fire.
What's that? 70?
I think that's
80.
80 disposals between them, if you don't mind. And 38 to Dangerfield, 32 to Selwood. Pretty good midfield combination. A lot of people thinking Geelong are going to finish outside the top 4. Well, after their display with those 2 players. Wouldn't rule them out.
If you've just got those 2, that's enough. That's like 4 midfielders combined. Those disposals, that's ridiculous. So I think people don't underestimate Geelong.
Absolutely.
Even though they're featured in every final series for the last
9 years,
10 years,
I
think it's still a bit of time before they're out of it. But my team, Sydney Swans,
yes,
won by 3 points. Held on against St Kilda.
Yeah, very good. Yay. Buddy kicked another 2 goals, which is good. Jake Lloyd, very good. 30 disposals, played very well. Big Tom Hickey, played very well. 29 disposals, which very good for a ruckman, and 39 hitouts if you don't mind. So,
combo.
He might be a risk for Supercoach, but I got him in last season and he let me down. But maybe this season he can find a bit more consistency, the big hickey. We're going to get to a song now, but when we return, we're going to be talking some of the big selection dilemmas that the Australian selectors will have coming into the third test in India. And we're also going to be talking some of the other sport around the grounds with the A-League and the Super Netball. Of course, you're listening to Sydney 90.7 FM, The Sports Desk.
And this is Dorsal Fins with Sedated. Welcome back to the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7 FM. That was Dorsal Fins with Sedated. And you're here with Lucy and Michael.
Just to clarify for all of you out there, that phone ringing was actually a part of the song. We didn't actually know that, but it is a part of the song. So we got a little bit scared there. We're like, are we getting an incoming call? Might be Cara Donnellan on the line or something, you know?
She just wants to say thank you.
Just wants to say thank you for the 9 votes for this round. But no one's phone is ringing. We've all got ours on airplane mode. So for all those out there just wondering, it's part of the song.
This is part of the song. And we're moving away from AFL now back to some cricket.
Back to the cricket.
The third test against India starts on Thursday.
It is. It's a huge test, actually.
It's going to be a big test. Virat Kohli is kindly selecting the wicket for us.
Oh, very kind of him.
I know. Very kind of him.
So he doesn't shoulder arms it again?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But I think the biggest worry that Australians have now is that we've lost 2 of our players. One that people might be, tiny little bit happy to see.
I might have jumped up and down.
Yeah, they weren't a little bit worried about Mitchell Marsh's exclusion.
Yep.
But definitely worried about Mitchell Starc.
Because as we all know, particularly in that first test when he made that, I think he made about 60 runs. They were crucial runs. If you only make a score of about 260, 270, to get your score above the 200 mark in that last wicket partnership, it was huge. Yeah. And he can hit a big six. In fact, I've just loved watching him hit huge sixes.
Yeah.
He just puts his knee down and he just swings and he gets it for 6, several rows back. And I don't know if the Indian crowd likes it too much, but certainly it's a beautiful thing to watch. So look, he's a big out, and so now obviously the selection dilemma begins, and Patrick Cummins. Do you remember who Patrick Cummins is, Lucy? Do you remember him?
Honestly, didn't really remember his name.
Do you remember him?
No. When they said that he was getting selected, I did have to sort of Google him.
You're like,
and see
who's this guy?
Where he was coming from. But he played in Australia's 2015 Ashes series.
He did?
In 2015. But since then has not played a lot because of injury.
Yeah,
and he was only 19 when he played in that series.
His last test match, I think, was against South Africa. He took 6 wickets, and that was 5.5 years ago now. Unbelievably long ago. And he was a young man around then. Yeah. He also hit the winning runs in that test match. So he can bat as well, which is very notable. He hit a couple of big sixes, talking about big sixes, in the Big Bash League. But I think the one reason why Cummins has been picked here is because he got through his first Sheffield Shield game, took 8 wickets in that game, took 4 for 57 and then 4 for 47. So, man of the match performance. But he's definitely in contention. He can push over 150 kilometres an hour, so he's right up there with Mitchell Starc for pace. But the biggest issue here is going to be whether he can get through 5 days of bowling. Conditions that he's not too used to. Subcontinent, he's never really played there. So it's going to be... There's going to be huge questions over this. If he pulls it off, it's going to be one of the greatest selections in cricket history. But if he doesn't, then, we've got a serious issue of, if he gets injured the first 2 days, we don't have a fast bowler for the rest of the game. But that brings the next dilemma, because we have picked another all-rounder for this test match. And it is Marcus Stoinis, which a couple of people had to Google as well.
They had to Google, but I think people more so Googling, for the fact that they were like, wait, does he actually deserve this selection? Is Marcus Stoinis the one that we should be calling up? Just considering that there's a few sort of other contenders aside from Marcus Stoinis, but it seems that Marcus Stoinis's performances in the Australia A and in obviously that one day international, he scored that massive 100, is what has got him in the side, or in the squad, I should say.
And it's great as a Victorian to see Victorians being picked in the side. We're always used to seeing New South Welshmen or Western Australians getting picked. It's very rarely that the lower part of Australia gets picked for a test. And so, look, an unbeaten 146 against New Zealand, and look, he's not having the hugest average with the batting. He's only scored 126 runs at an average of 12.6 in 6 games before the current game against Western Australia, where he did a lot better. Scored a 50 and scored about a 46 as well. Got a Victoria over the line by 8 wickets, but probably hasn't had the most amazing form in the Shield. Hasn't lit it on fire.
Yeah.
But his bowling is notable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why he's been picked over someone, say, like a potentially a Moses Enriquez, or even I think Wildermuth was also a name that was tossed up as well, who is another all-rounder, and also someone like I think Cartwright, who was Hilton Cartwright, who also did get picked against Pakistan, but didn't really make a huge influence. So it's good that Marcus Stoinis gets a call up, but it's not necessarily known at the moment whether he will actually play. Because obviously you've got Glenn Maxwell in the sheds, who hasn't bowled a lot though. That's the only issue. And you've also got Usman Khawaja, who can bat a little bit further down the order. Don't know if he's been bowling too much, but certainly he can play. And also Ashton Agar is another one there who can bat very well as well. So they've got a lot to think about going into this test.
So much to think about, and the squad is quite strong. Like the players that we have already could easily be put in the team and probably perform very, very well.
That's absolutely right.
So it's a really tough one for the selectors, I think.
It really all depends on the pitch, I suppose. Also, a little bit of talk coming out of the Australian camp that Nathan Lyon's fingers might be a little bit sore as well.
Oh, no.
Which, look, they reckon he's going to be okay to play, but he's going to be eased through training. And if he can't play, well, then it's asking a lot of Ashton Agar and Glenn Maxwell, particularly the two, haven't bowled that much. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be a very intriguing test starting on, I think, Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. And maybe O'Keefe will have to stand up again.
Definitely. I mean, had quite a test in the second test, but we all know what he's capable of doing, so fingers crossed he can play well.
Fingers crossed he can do that one again. Because that was huge. No one expected that.
No,
but
absolutely
as I said,
not.
The Indians are definitely probably feeling pretty good after the win last week. Virat Kohli probably especially, because he thinks he's a god.
Yes, and probably so do the Indian public as well.
Yeah, I think so. But he's like, the talk of him choosing the pitch, I can't believe that.
I cannot believe that either. That's phenomenal. And look, if they think it's going to make him play a little bit more consistently, then so be it. But you just feel that he's almost overdue now for a very big score. So I think Australia has to be wary of that. We've done extremely well to keep him below 300 so far in the series.
Yeah.
But you feel like this next test has the potential to open right up. So let's hope that the Australians can, stay true to themselves. And with those 2 new players in, hopefully they can make an influence. So it's going to be a very big test indeed. We're going to get to a song. When we get back, we're going to be talking about the Suncorp Super Netball and also the A-League results. A lot of big news coming out of that. Coming closer to the final, of course, this week was a split round, so there were less matches, but a very big victory by Melbourne Victory.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that as well.
So we're going to a song now, and you're listening to Sin at 90.7 FM, and this is The Football Club with The Football Club. Welcome back to Sin 90.7 FM. You are listening to The Sports Desk, and that was The Football Club with The Football Club, something that Michael is very amused by.
It's ironic, isn't it? It is ironic. We have been talking a lot of football clubs this morning, so it's a very fitting song. And we're going to quickly run through some of the results in some of the other games of the weekend. Suncorp Super Netball, Firebirds got up against the New South Wales Swifts, 62-53. The Melbourne Vixens, another great performance, defeating the West Coast Fever, 45-56. The Giants also impressing as well. Very close game there, 55-54. So good results all around for the Giants this weekend. And the Magpies as well also got a victory against the Thunderbirds, 64-45. So some big results in the Suncorp
That
Super
win
Netball.
for the Magpies netball team also meant that all 4 of Collingwood's teams on the weekend won.
They did too.
AFL, VFL, women's,
JLT,
and the
AFL
netball, of course,
Everyone.
So all of them won. 4
Everyone's
teams,
a
4
winner.
wins. Big weekend for the Collingwood Magpies.
Absolutely agree with that one. And we're going to jump straight into the A-League as well. And what a big round this was. Sydney FC again continue their winning record, defeating the Central Coast Mariners 1-0. And now they're 11 points clear of rivals Melbourne Victory. So that is a little bit of a confidence booster for them. But talking about the Melbourne Victory, during the split round, they had a marvellous victory against the Perth Glory, 4-1. And we were just talking before about this. Melbourne Victory seem to get a little bit freaked out when they play the Perth Glory. Perth Glory have the wood over them in the past, and it was good for them. A little bit of a confidence booster to get the win against Perth Glory. Yeah,
definitely, because they've met, obviously, the last 10 years of the A-League, but the last 8 times Victory have failed to defeat Perth. Wow. Whether it was a draw or a loss, they just haven't been able to beat Perth. But they did get a win this weekend against them.
4-1 as well.
4-1 as well. So it's a big
result.
Big result, and plus it takes Barisha for Melbourne Victory to the top of the goal kickers list for the league. So, and I think he's 4 goals ahead of Sydney's highest scorer as well. So it'll be a big round. But Sydney FC have Perth, Melbourne City, Wellington, and Newcastle. So I think they have a pretty comfortable run home, and will probably end up...
Most of those sides are out of the top 4, so...
And we'll end up on the top of the ladder. But as it was a split round, that round continues this weekend. But now we're going to move just completely away from Australian sport.
Let's do it.
Because we've been very lucky with our co-host Liam, who is over in Ireland at the moment. He went to the Gaelic football and to Gaelic hurling on the weekend. So we have some correspondence from him. But... Just going to quickly tell you that he talks about hurling, which is a game that is sort of like hockey. It's like Gaelic hockey, I think, is the best way.
It looks dangerous.
Yeah, I know. It looks very dangerous. But you have a wooden stick, which is called a hurley. You hit a small ball, and you can either hit it between the goalposts, either over or under the crossbar, which the one under the crossbar is guarded by a goalkeeper for 1 goal. And then I think over is 3 points. So you can catch it in your hand or you can hit it in the air. So it's just sticks and just balls and stuff, just limbs flying everywhere. So it sounds a bit scary, but
it does.
We do have Liam to tell us a little bit about his experience. So we're going to cross to that one now.
Good morning, Michael and Lucy. I am here from the Republic of Ireland. And yesterday, I went to the hurling. The hurling is probably the most unique sport I've ever watched in my entire life. You know, you go to a game and you go, yeah, it's a lot like soccer, it's a lot like rugby. This is a bit hockey, a bit lacrosse, baseball, football. So they have it's a rugby goal and a soccer goal together. If you hit it over the goal, it's 1 point. If you hit it in the net, it's 3 points. They play with a stick and a ball, but you can also hit the ball with your hands. You can also kick the ball. One of the players even kicked it through the goals. It's an incredible sport. There's no marking, there's no tackling, but there's a lot of bumping, and I still have no idea about the tackle rule in this game. The game I went to was at Semple Stadium in Tipperary, County Tipperary. Tipperary played off against Kilkenny, and that was they're actually they're the Collingwood and Carlton of the Gaelic hurling. They played off in last year's All Ireland Grand Final. Tipperary won that game, and the last 2 years Kilkenny did a three-peat. The game was actually a draw. Tipperary scored 2 goals, 17 points. To Kilkenny's 3 goals, 14 points, a total of 23. And the crowd was hot. There was only Semple Stadium holds 55,000 people, and there was only 14,000 there, but it felt like it was a sold-out crowd. It was amazing. It was an absolute unique experience. The crowd was red hot. You can tell both of these counties love their teams, love their sport. There were these guys next to me who were just typical football fans, but they were lovely. One even gave me his jumper because I was freezing. It's so cold there in Ireland. Would I ever see hurling again? Oh, without a doubt. Something I might even start watching when I get back to Australia. It's a very, very unique sport, and I'm sorry, I just cannot put into words really what it's like. I've looked up rules. I've spoken to people. It's really the one person even said it's the Quidditch of Ireland. Yeah. On March the 19th, or the 20th in Australia will be, in the morning, I'm going to head off to Count Offaly to watch the Gaelic football. But I was actually lucky enough to watch the Gaelic football as well yesterday due to a match on the 5th of March being postponed. So I was lucky enough to see a double header. Yeah, back to you guys.
Thank you very much for that update from Ireland, Liam. We do miss you here a lot, but he has found a way to still get on air, even though he's overseas. And shout out to him, by the way, because the other day I gave him a recommendation when he was at Abu Dhabi for his stopover. I said, have a Macarabia, which is McDonald's version of a Big Mac and a wrap. And he did it. And I got to give him a lot of credit for that. A lot of bravery shown by our man.
I was about to say, that's brave to take on that advice. But
it is, yeah.
He's off to so many more places. He's going to like Rome and Paris and other places. I gave him my recommendation for a restaurant in Rome, so hopefully he takes that one.
And I also gave him recommendation to go and watch some gladiator matches when he's in Rome, but I don't know if they still do that, unfortunately not. Some chariot racing, that kind of stuff.
That kind of thing, yeah. He might be a few years too late for that.
Yeah, I think so,
But who knows? There's still plenty of sport over there.
I'm sure there is, but that's good for him. Look, that's all we've got time for today, guys, on the Sports Desk. Of course, join the Friday team for a big preview of the final round of the AFL Women's, so that's going to be great, and of course the next big part of the A-League split round as well. So thank you for joining Michael and Lucy on the Sports Desk.
Thank you so much, and as Michael said, hear us on Friday morning at 9 a.m. on 90.7 FM, but also you can find us on Facebook, the Sports Desk. But we must leave you now, and we're going to leave you with Bad Habits by Last Shadow Puppets. Thank you so much for listening in, and we'll speak to you all soon.
Enjoy.